to
Zeng This.
Yeah. Today's a very special day because it's November.
In 7 Day.
Yes, November 7th, which means it's Mass Effect Day for any of you who've played the Mass Effect series. We'll have more on that as our main topic, but we've got some current event stuff to talk about, don't we?
Yeah.
Do you want to start with the Wonder Woman trailer?
There was a new one.
Yes. got a cool look at some the lasso of truth. You got to see that kind of glowing. You got to see her deflect some bullets, stuff like that. So that was really cool to see that.
The action scenes that just look like they're just going to be really, really, really awesome.
So that was definitely cool to see that. There have been some speculations online that the main bad guy might be Ares.
Oh,
I almost said Mars for some reason. I'm like, no, it's right, but not in the terminology that we're talking about here. So there's speculation that might be who the big villain is in this. So I guess we'll have to see more on that later. DC also released another trailer for Lego Batman.
Yay.
Which showed the Joker, showed some more Robin, had a nice little homage to the Batman versus Superman.
I am so looking forward to the Lego Batman movie.
It looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. Something I did notice, though, Will Arnett doesn't really change his voice going from Batman to Bruce Wayne, even though I don't find that an issue. I still think it's funny, just because his version of Batman's voice is, I believe, funny no matter how you do it.
I think it's funny when they have the part where Barbara Gordon is like, I want to...
Oh, it showed her, too.
Yeah, and she was like, I really want to work with Batman, and he's like, oh, that's going to be a problem.
So that was definitely a cool little treat on the DC side.
Yeah.
Speaking of DC, we're going to segue, because this has been brought up before, and I figured this would be a good time to bring it up, that there is a miniseries coming out where the DC heroes and the Power Rangers, the original Power Rangers, meet up.
I don't know how I feel about that.
I don't know either. I think it's very interesting. I just don't know how I really feel about it. It's an interesting thing. I just never would have put those two together. So that's kind of my thing, I guess.
I just feel like this is just more, this is fan pandering more than anything.
I don't know if I would go that far, but I don't know. It just, I would have never matched those two as a team up. So it's going to be interesting to see how they work as a team. Right. Then again, I would have never matched up DC and Mortal Kombat, but I don't know if that even matched up together too. So hopefully it's not that kind of situation. On the topic of Power Rangers, did you see the toy released image for the new Megazord possibly?
Yep.
What did you think of that? I think it just
pretty
looks
over the top.
It just looks weird. I wouldn't have it. I don't know. I don't know what to think of it. If that is really what it is, it kind of looks like. I kind of want to say it looks like a putty almost. And if I want to stay in the Power Rangers mythos, it kind of looks like a putty with, some extra additions to it. I don't know. I mean, it's just a toy, so who knows? It could just be a very, very simplified version of the Megazord. So, I mean, I guess we're going to have to see more on it. I'm kind of, that worries me slightly for the Power Rangers. Slightly.
Oh, and so...
some stuff out of BlizzCon.
Well, I don't play it too much, but they did a new character release trailer. Like, how they have those little videos?
Yeah, the ones that you enjoy watching.
I do enjoy watching them about the new character for Overwatch.
Sombra.
Yeah.
Who is a hacker who's going to bring some interesting diversity to the Overwatch game, considering she can hack turrets, she can hack health points, she has an EMP ability. It's going to be interesting. So I'm really excited.
I thought she looked really cool.
That they're going to be having this in there. So that's definitely something that, kind of raised my eyebrow about her. I don't know if they've given an exact date of when she's going to be out. They might have. They also kind of unveiled some more interesting kind of arcade modes that are possibly coming out. And one of them that I'm interested in, because they did this as a weekly brawl, is random character might be a possibility for a mode where you play and you don't pick your character. It picks it for you. So I'm like, that's interesting. So that gets you to play as different characters that you might not normally play as.
Well, and I feel like the matchups might be better too, just from watching you play. It's really annoying when more than half the team all picks the same
I've
character.
heard that they're apparently going to be fixing that issue as well. They're going to not let that happen. So you don't have an entire team of divas or an entire team of Junkrats running around, which is fun, kind of. So that's definitely something that they're improving on. So that's really cool. I guess we can talk about a few Marvel things real quick. So there's been some Marvel stuff in the news as well. I'm going to start off with that Jeremy Renner has shown interest in possibly doing a Netflix series on
Yay,
Hawkeye.
Netflix.
So that would be cool to get some more out of that character. I mean,
and they could I think that might be an easy thing to do, considering they kind of started delving a little bit into Hawkeye with his family, and so I think they could easily do a origin type story with him.
Marvel is doing a really good job of building their cinematic universe up, and I think they're doing a great job making this world that they have feel very lived in, almost. So it's you have your top tier heroes, the Avengers, you have the Defenders technically, and then you apparently have even the top tier above that with Doctor Strange. But we're not gonna get into a super big discussion on Strange today. But another team that might be making a appearance, I've heard, is the Runaways are possibly going to be on
Hulu.
So, Ellie, as being a big fan of the Runaways, I figure I'm going to give you 2 minutes to kind of go over with people who might not know what the Runaways are.
Sure, I'd love to.
Hold on 1 second. All right. Ready?
Yes. Okay, the series came out in 2003.
Okay.
The original writer was Brian Vaughan.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, it is a group of teens. Their parents meet about once a year. They're supposed to be getting together to work on a charity event, and
quote unquote.
Yes. And they normally just hang out and chill while their parents get together. But one year they decide to be a little bit more nosy and
the kids do.
Yeah, the kids do, to try to figure out what exactly their parents do, and kind of wanted to spy on them a little bit. They end up finding out that their parents are part of an evil crime organization, the Pride.
Ooh.
Yes. And what's really cool about it is the fact that it brings a lot of different elements. So the different types of things, their parents are time travelers, mob bosses, telepathic mutants.
Ooh.
That sounds familiar.
Yes.
Mad scientists, alien invaders, and dark wizards.
So just running the gambit of Marvel.
They're checking off all the boxes.
Yeah, hodgepodge of Marvel whatnots.
And it's just about their adventures. They kind of overthrow their parents.
And run away.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, Josh Whedon eventually writes for the series later on.
That's cool.
Which he's a huge favorite of mine. And they even have done crossovers. Like the Runaway series has been so popular that they've done crossovers in Civil War and Secret Invasions.
Cool. And I think they also had something in the Secret... you said Secret Wars. Yeah. My bad.
Well, I said Secret Invasion.
They were also involved in apparently Secret Wars as well. And that's your 2 minutes. But I think that gave everyone a pretty good rundown of what the Runaways are. And I mean, there's definitely plenty of graphic novel material for them to go off of for the show, but also for people to read and kind of get familiar with. Because I know that there's one where Wolverine's in it with them at one point.
They had the Punisher too.
Yeah, so I mean, they get a nice little mixture of the...
They like to throw some of the other Marvel characters in to kind of get you go, oh, I know that person, or so it's nice like
with
that.
The whole legal rights to who owns what, it would be interesting to see how exactly Hulu would be able to do this. But once again, this was... Do
you feel like Hulu's doing this because of the success of the Netflix series with Daredevil and all that?
Wouldn't surprise me. Because it seems like the Netflix series are very intertwined with each other, so possibly putting it on a different platform would widen its breadth to a lot more people.
Right.
So that's definitely something that is very interesting. Another thing, to reference a comic real quick, there is Unworthy Thor. Had issue 1 come out this week, which had a very interesting thing, which once again, harking back to Secret Wars, they kind of melded the Marvel Ultimate Universe with the 616 universe, among other things, to kind of clean up their timeline and clean up the continuity. Of course, Thor doesn't have his hammer right now.
Right.
Or Thor, let me put this in. Thor, Odin's son, does not have his hammer.
Thor.
Does not have his hammer. Spoiler, Jane Foster is currently Thor with the Mjolnir hammer from 616. However, Thor, Odin's son, has come across a very interesting item. He's come across the Mjolnir from the Ultimate Universe.
Wow.
So that's kind of interesting. I know the issue just came out this week. I'm going to have to see if I can get my hands on it, because I would be interested to know. That's a cool little of them melding the two universes together a little bit more. Miles Morales, of course, is something else that came from the Ultimate Universe that has crossed over. So that would be interesting to see how this other Mjolnir works in and how it affects the overarching Thor storyline too.
Yeah.
So that's definitely something current from the comics that I kind of made me raise an eyebrow. So I guess with that being said, we're gonna take a quick break, and when we come back, it's time to celebrate some Mass Effect. We'll see you guys on the other side of the break. This is
Zeng This.
Oh, you got me on that one. Welcome back. So today is November 7th.
Yes.
And as any huge fan of a certain game series, Mass Effect, would know, today is N7 Day, which comes from their armor and everything has the N7 logo. So unofficially, today has been deemed Mass Effect Day for everyone who's a fan of it. Just for a quick explanation on it. If you haven't played the Mass Effect games, their trilogy of games, there is another one coming out, which is Mass Effect
Andromeda.
So that's supposed to have a new trailer coming out today too. Sadly, this will be recorded prior to that releasing, so definitely go watch that. We might do a quick little YouTube video kind of with our remarks on that if there's anything interesting enough, but we'll see. I guess we'll start out with sort of discussing... You want to discuss the...
Well, I kind of wanted to talk about the Andromeda Initiative.
Okay, cool. Go for it.
I figured that'd be a good way to kind of get started. So basically, if you go to the Mass Effect, the EA website, they have what's called the Andromeda Initiative, and they've been asking people prior to N7 Day to basically submit their email.
Okay.
And to be put on the list to have, to be they're seeking recruits. And if you're registered, that had stuff listed like you would receive critical mission info, special training, and eligible reward program upon completion. But that's supposed to begin today, basically.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So that's kind of, I guess, their way of... Because from what the trailers seem like, from the information I've gathered, it seems like the Andromeda Initiative is... The game's basically... There's I'm assuming a collection of all the races from the Mass Effect games going to the nearest galaxy to us, which would be Andromeda, and that's supposed to take... It's supposed to be set 600 years, so I'm assuming that's the length of time it would take for space travel for them to get from one point to another, assuming they're going to be in stasis or something like that. This is just me guessing off of this. Ellie's done a lot more research on Andromeda than I have, so I don't know if they've released any of that information or if this is just me flying off the hook and guessing.
Well, they have and they haven't. The name of the siblings is Ryder.
Ryder.
Yeah, the last name. It's the main character is Ryder, is the brother, and then the female in the trailer is his sister. There's been speculation of what her name is, but there's no 100% yet until probably Monday when this stuff is coming out. So you could probably be able to play as him or her.
Once again, that's how you choose which.
Fem Shep versus old Shep in the old games, which, as a fan for me, I always like to play as good old male shepherd.
We'll have more on that in a little bit. We have a discussion on
I know. But I don't know if you've seen, did you watch the trailer with where Aaron Flynn is talking?
I saw the one where
GM
they were
from BioWare.
I saw the one where they were on the moon, the tease trailer.
Well, they do have, it's about 3 minutes.
Okay.
And the GM from BioWare is kind of giving you a little bit of insight of kind of how it looks, and they said that it should be watched in 4K, which unfortunately we don't have those capabilities to watch.
But maybe you do.
Yes.
So let us know how beautiful it looks.
Yeah, please, because we're jealous. But it looks insanely ridiculous. And the one thing I thought looked really cool is near the end of the trailer, they have, the galaxy map that you're used to seeing. It's like a galaxy map type of thing, and it looks immense. Excuse me, I can't talk right now. It looks massive. So
massive Mass Effect.
Oh, you went there. But it looks so huge. If all the planets that they show in the trailer is actually, a bunch of places you can go to, then that would be really cool. So I hope it is going to be that big.
Interesting. Well, that sounds really cool. I mean, like I said, they're probably going to be releasing a lot more stuff on that on November 7th, of course. So, like I said, we might have to do a quick YouTube or...
Yeah, and I'm not sure if you're...
Or next week recap on it.
Right. And that would be a good idea, because apparently it's supposed to be a ton of stuff that's coming out on Monday. And they also mentioned in that little, I guess, developer video, whatever you want to call it, that they're going to be using high dynamic range lighting on supported platforms as well. So, nice. Sounds exciting.
So it's going to look pretty.
Yes.
All right. So I guess we should get into the discussion on the Mass Effect games themselves, the trilogy of games. I kind of also want to point out, for anyone listening, we're probably not going to touch on the comics and novels too much.
Well, just a little snippet. There is supposed to be some comics coming out for the backstory of some of the characters.
I kind of meant in our discussion.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I mean, because there's so much content out there that I kind of thought we could focus more on just the game side of it for this discussion. Maybe next N7 Day we'll have a little bit wider breadth of stuff. But for this one, focusing more on the games, probably hinting or touching on some stuff from the comics and from the novels. So with that being said, I guess we'll just start with we both played the games.
Yes.
Probably multiple times. I'm gonna admit it right now. You forced me to play the first one.
Oh my
over again, because I played it when it came out. I was not playing it the way I guess you should have, and I just was frustrated with it. Didn't play it. It was about a month or two before the second one came out.
Yeah.
And you were basically almost shoving it down my throat to be like, go play this. And I was like, I wasn't interested. And you're like, just restart your character and, just restart your character, have it do auto level, just try it again. I tried it again, played through it, loved it. Found out that certain characters are going to be in the second one. And by the way, I'm just going to say a huge spoiler alert right now. If you haven't played these games, there's going to be just discussions all over the place on stuff that probably is going to spoil things for you if you haven't played. And if you have, I mean, of course, you're going to want to have input on it. So me finding out that Rex, who was one of my favorite characters, was in the second game, and I accidentally didn't have him live when I played it the first time. I was very upset, so I went through and powered through, I think in a day and a half, the entire game over again to make sure that he was alive.
I mean, honestly, if you just do the main story stuff, I mean, you can get through it in 20 some hours.
On the first game, it is pretty short if you just focus on the story, but
Correct.
there's hundreds of hours worth of content.
Definitely.
On the first one.
You can get out of it what you want to get out of it. Yeah. I mean,
so definitely awesome to do that. I played through it, got the second one, played the second one, loved the second one. So I got you to thank for actually forcing me to replay those again and give it another chance and falling in love with probably one of my favorite game series. So moving on then, I guess we'll do since we hinted at earlier, the femme shep versus male shep debate.
Yes. Okay, can I start by saying that I am usually all for hoorah female characters, hear me roar kind of thing. I love playing the female characters if I have the option, but there's just something.
First, can I say one thing? Did you customize your shepherd at all when you played, or did you just use the box art version of shepherd?
I did use the box art, and you know me, I love to customize. I'll spend hours just building a character, but there was just something about just the classic shepherd that I just loved. So yeah.
I'll let you get back to your point. I tried to create like something that looked similar to me, and I didn't like it, so I just restarted and just used the basic shepherd for the male version. I'll get to the female version in a second. Continue your female empowerment tirade.
Well, no, I'm saying I normally do, but it's just something about Shepard that just drew me in. It just, I don't know. It just was the perfect fit for what I wanted out of him. So I never messed with. I used the base version of him.
Me, on the other hand, I played through the game, like I said, with the male shepherd. Used him as the just in their template. But something ironic. So played through, wanted to do a renegade character.
Yeah.
So I decided, I was like, I'll do a female one to see if anything's different. Ironically, I did do a female with short red hair, which ironically became the version of FemShep that we did get later. So the FemShep I made was ironically very close to the promotional art FemShep that we did get for the third game, where they heavily pushed that. And I actually looked up some stuff on that, and they really wanted to push, that version of Shepard too. So I can respect that out of them trying to, show that there's the two different, you could be a female or you could be a male in the game, which was really cool. And there is some dialogue changes. Plus, me playing as a female that was the Renegade version was always fun too, because like I could play her to be a complete,
Yes.
Yeah. So, I gotcha. so that was a lot of fun to do that with it throughout the 3 games. So that was definitely something that I enjoyed doing. For me, the male shepherd is the one that's on the box art and the one that pops in my mind first. But I did like the way that they did female shepherd and kind of incorporated it. For the promotional part of it, it was cool to see trailers with her in it, with her alongside Ashley and the other characters. So that was neat for me.
Yeah, because then they did, I think you kind of said it already too, but the cover art for the game where you could flip it, and on one side it was male, one side female.
Yeah, so that was really cool with that. So I guess since we've talked about, our number one favorite character is, of course, Shepard. Oh, real quick before we move on. Do you know where the origin of his name came from? Or possible origin of his name? Of course, Shepard being someone who, tends to a flock, he's the guide for humanity, sort of Shepard's humanity. But Alan Shepard is actually the second man in space after Yuri Gagarin. He was the second man in space, first U.S. He did not achieve orbit, but they said that was kind of where they also a point where they drew the name from. So that's a really cool history, little history tidbit there. So just wanted to say that. So with Shepard being our quote unquote favorite character, I guess we can move on to the other colorful cast of characters and kind of discuss, who's our favorite from there throughout the entire series.
Oh, wow.
I'm going to let you go first on this one.
Morden. I loved Morden.
Morden was fun.
Just his happy, chaotic, crazy self. I I adored him and his little songs, and he was great. I loved that character.
I did like Morton Solus a lot. He was one that I liked a lot. His character, it was always fun to talk to him on the ship and stuff. Solarians were really cool as I think a species. Fun fact, they were vague. I'm just full of fun facts today for this. I looked up a ton of them. So the Solarians are actually based on the quote unquote grays that people claim to see in alien encounters.
Right.
So that's kind of where those came from, and it's kind of implied that those might have been what people had seen before they were made contact in the Mass Effect universe. So that's kind of a cool little nod to science fiction there.
Yeah, and I liked his struggle that, you know,
the genophage and everything like that.
And I thought it really built depth for his
A
character.
lot of these characters do have depth built into them, which is really cool that, you know, there's more to them than just the cliche cookie cutter version of the character.
And since you did say spoiler alerts, I will say that that part near the end of his life, it was quite a tearjerker.
And that has one of my favorite quotes from the series. The had to be me. Someone else would have gotten it wrong. From that part in the third game.
Yeah.
So.
And it was. I have to admit, I had some tears.
Wiping that tear away.
The little mini violin. I know.
So I guess I'll go now for my character.
Okay.
I'm going to start off with Rex.
Yeah, I know you love Rex.
I really enjoyed both the Rex and Grunt. Definitely was a big fan of the Krogans. They were just very, you know, fun to play, have around. They were always, you know, shoot first, shoot again, and then maybe ask questions if someone survives.
Yeah,
kind of characters.
The thing with them though is, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you.
No, go ahead. This is a discussion.
Well, the thing with them is though that they are very warrior people. But the parts where you did go back to their home planet...
Tachanka. I love saying it.
I know, it is awesome. There's a lot more to them than meets the eye. I mean, they care about
They're Transformers.
That's another day.
I'm sorry, I had to do it.
I know, it's okay. But you know, they're really about honor and family, and so that was nice to see.
And the genophage affecting them and everything, and their race's story is an interesting one with the whole, you know, that they saved the galaxy and then kind of spread out. And they're also, I mean, then they were hit by the Turians with the genophage, and which was, of course, designed by the Solarians.
Right.
So...
And we can't forget a really good quote for Grunt. I don't need luck, I have ammo.
Yes, that one was definitely a good one for Grunt and everything. Yes. Anyway, so sorry, I'm reminiscing in the back of my mind, like, oh,
makes me want to go back and play it again.
Maybe. But so those characters were always fun to play as. They were very victims of a sort, but they were also kind of a cautionary tale because their original home world, their world is nuclear radiated, completely destroyed because they basically figured out how to nuke each other before they figured out space travel. Like, they were a very warlike race, so it was kind of, when they got the opportunity to spread out through the galaxy, they kind of went hog wild on it. So you kind of have both sides of that. They were kind of stopped by the Solarians and the Turians to help, you know, the rest of the galaxy not be overrun with them, but then they were victims of a situation that they were kind of forced into because they weren't really that big in the galaxy until they were discovered and sort of thrown at the Rachni and saved the galaxy. So it's a very... Their race is a very interesting tale on multiple levels. So it's cool, and it's definitely shows that this game has more depth to it. I'm gonna just go off on a quick segue for a second. This game feels very lived in, and it's supposed to. And I really like games that feel lived in, that feel like there's events going on that don't have any effect on you, Bethesda's really good about that for their games, to where, you know, you can do stuff and it kind of, you affect things in the world, but there's other stuff going on that kind of doesn't really care if you're involved or not. So that's interesting. This world feels like, you know, there's so much going on, that there's so much stuff that you as Shepard can interact with, but there's other stuff that you hear about or are told about that is just, I mean, just novels worth of stuff in the game, and just, you know, just so much backstory that's so interesting.
Oh, yeah.
So, guess we're going to go to another character for you then, and I'm guessing I might know the next one.
Do you?
Maybe.
Well, I'm going to be honest, and I'm going to throw throw a curveball at you.
Okay.
I really liked Legion.
Legion was an interesting character.
Yeah.
Once again, we were just discussing, you know, characters with interesting backstories and, you know, cautionary tales and all this stuff, and he's a prime example of that.
Well, and it was, what I like about Mass Effect is they take a lot of the characters that you love, their races have interconnecting.
There's history there that's kind of
so like Legion
down.
and Tally.
Yes.
I like both of them, and I can see both sides of why, you know, they have had issues in fighting.
You're talking about the decision you kind of have to make in the third game too.
Yeah. But I really liked the way they made you feel sorry
for both sides.
Yeah.
Of the
so, but I like
feel for both, you know, situations and everything.
Correct.
Man, Mass Effect is just a game full of feels. A cool thing about Legion for me was he was revealed in that trailer for the second game. The one where we're showing, you know, the zoom around to Shepard's armor and everything, and it was like giving, you know, first human Spectre, you know, savior of this, you know, all his different accolades. And then it zooms out to reveal that there's a Geth with the armor on.
Yeah.
And that was so
crazy.
cool, because you're like, what does it mean? Oh
yeah.
my gosh.
Yeah, that was insane.
They did a phenomenal job, I gotta say, on all the promotional material for the game, which I'm going to quickly segue into something else, if that's okay for a moment. The DLC content, and I'm not particularly talking about the, you know, extra content like Leviathan or the Citadel, or the Shadow Broker right now. I'm talking about, like, if you in 2, more so in 3, if you played certain other games by EA or got certain promotional codes, you were able to get extra content in the game. GameStop had the one Obsidian armor, I believe. It was the one.
Yeah.
I never wore the armor, but the gun, you had a black hole gun.
And they had the armor from the Dragon Age series.
Yes, they had the Dragon Age armor, so that was really cool. There was a lot of cross promotion EA was doing with itself to kind of promote the game up and, you know, get you some extra content. Now, I mean, was the armor the best thing in the world? No, but it looked cool.
I mean, I'm a sucker, as you know, and I'll let all of you listeners know, I'm a sucker for costumes. I love skins. I think it's, and that's kind of where I came back to. It was so surprising when I played these games, is I usually am huge into customizing. I love customizing. So it was really cool. They always had a lot of options for changing out. And it wasn't just the armor. They had the casual clothes, too.
Yeah.
So when you're just walking around the ship, they had different costumes
the hoodie,
for those.
the one hoodie that he could wear around. I remember that in 3. That was, I think, a collector's edition item, was getting the hoodie.
Yeah, so it was cool. I like that part of it.
See, I thought you were going to mention Liara Tassone.
Well, yeah.
I thought you were going to mention her, but I didn't know if we were going to have a separate, you know, for love interest in the game.
That can be a whole different conversation of all the different options and, you know, what's your favorite, and the fact that it can, I liked, just, you know, excuse me for a minute, but I like the fact that, and it's BioWare in general, because they do this with Dragon Age and some of their other stuff, but I like the way BioWare is not afraid to not just make it male-female.
Yeah.
I like that they open that up for...
It's really really progressive of them to do that. And like I said, it's cool because I mean it's got it in there, so I mean it has something for technically everybody in there. So that's, I mean, no harm, no foul in my opinion.
Yep, it's really awesome.
Yeah, Leora Artisani was one of my favorite characters in the fact of, you know, her character is very cool. How she became the Shadow Broker is even kind of more interesting, and how that developed in the second to the third game.
I mean, honestly, it's really sad. We're such Mass Effect dorks. We could probably do an episode on every single game.
Yeah, we
like
could.
An individual one.
Just a more in-depth look at each of them, but we're trying to get, you know, overall kind of just our praising of the games overall. So, I mean, like, she was the one I enjoyed as a love interest for most of the games, because I just thought she was an interesting character for the discussions and everything. So I stuck with her as my love interest for all the games you could, because in 2 you really can't. So
I was a sucker for Miranda.
Oh.
For the love interest part.
Okay.
I kind of liked her a lot. She was cool. For my male shep.
Yes.
I liked her.
So, speaking of love interest, I'm going to say this. I never pursued this one, but I know that we should mention him as a favorite character. Garrus.
Oh.
As Femshep, you can romantically be involved with him, and he is super awkward and like stumbles over words and stuff. So it's kind of really funny.
He's not one that he's not one that I would think of to do, but yeah.
So I just thought that was funny how they threw that in there, and I liked him as a character. He was one that I always liked having on my teams and stuff. So he was. Him and Shepard's relationship, I mean, I played as the... I like
Shepard and his relationship.
Their relationship was always fun, and his story is very interesting.
Yes.
Of course, there's a lot of the air between Tyrians, blah, blah.
Well, and I highly recommend, being that we're talking about, you know, the characters and everything, I highly recommend doing all of the extra character missions that are specific to each one.
In each game.
Yeah.
Also... Another fun thing, and this is just kind of a tip of the hat to BioWare, is if you have different characters with you at different times, you get different like discussions and everything like that happen.
Oh yeah.
So that's really cool that you don't get certain
like when they're just walking around and stuff. Yeah.
You get certain interactions, which is really cool. And like I said, I just
that
love
is a BioWare thing.
The depth they put into this world and that.
Dragon Age does that too. If you pair up certain ones, you'll hear conversations that you normally. So yeah, that is really cool too.
So once again, go into the overarching world, and I'm gonna start to touch on Mass Effect 3, which I know there's a big elephant in the room, and we'll get to that elephant eventually. But I really liked how they incorporated, you know, the multiplayer. The multiplayer helps your galaxy map.
Yeah, you played that a lot more.
Yeah, which, I mean, I always had that, like, maxed out, but it was always fun to play the multiplayer, because you didn't have to do it, but if you did, it helped your main story. They also had an app that you could play on that would help the main story as well, to help build up your galaxy maps to 100% to go fight the Reapers. So that was a really cool aspect of the game that I enjoyed. Personally, to kind of make it to where you're not just playing the game, you kind of bring it into the real world to mess around on the app, and you know the multiplayer has a point to it.
I think they did that to kind of bring in those people that normally only like to play online, and hoping that they'll bite and do the regular part of the game.
And see, that's the thing. I mean, I just think that certain single player games, if they add a multiplayer, that should be what it's like, is to add one that you don't have to do, but if you do it, it's a beneficial thing.
Yes.
So that's the thing I liked about that, is did you have to do the multiplayer? No, not really, but if you did it, it was a beneficial thing to you in the game. So
well, and can I bounce off of the galaxy map?
Go for it.
So I wanted to ask you.
Okay.
And I'd love to hear the opinions of our listeners as well in comments.
Anything we're talking about, by all means, comment.
We would love to
get your opinion. Like I said, this
is
a celebration of one of our favorite games.
So, how did you prefer the scanning of the planets and getting the minerals and the materials that way, or did you prefer the original style where you actually took the rover and then went down
Scanning.
Oh, poor rover.
The rover was fun. It's just in the third game it made
so quirky. Like it just the controls didn't. I wish it would have worked a little bit better because I could see that would have been a really good way to do it if they would have made it a little better.
All right, so I guess we're going to kind of talk about some theories. Some theories real quick. There was one I have that I know has been brought up. I don't know if the game's ever confirmed it, though. Is Shepard indoctrinated the whole time? Because I've heard this theory before, and it's kind of the theory of, not to bring this up, but the Matrix. In the Matrix, Neo is quote unquote the chosen one, but he's actually technically power programmed. I'm not even going to get into that whole speech, but basically, he's there for a reason. So is Shepard in the same vein as the Reapers indoctrinated him to be the savior of humanity, and he just went against his because one of the things about indoctrinating is the longer you're around the Reapers, the easier it is to happen, and Shepard's around them a lot.
Yeah.
I personally don't subscribe to this theory. I just wanted to bring it up because I know it's one that floats around a lot. You're probably gonna agree with me. I just wanted to bring it up because I think it's interesting, but I personally just I'd like to think that Shepard's actions were his own.
Yes, I would
technically my own, since I was playing as him and forcing him to do stuff.
I'm the same with you. I hope he's not.
It's a cool thing to think on.
Oh,
but
yeah. Oh, and if if he was, he was. But yeah, in my opinion, I would prefer him not to be, because that's the whole part. That's the whole point of his character is.
Another thing I was going to bring up is, since he dies in 2, and it's questionable on how he's brought back, on whether he's the real Shepard or if he's a clone or this, that, and the other. But the Citadel DLC kind of confirmed that he is the quote-unquote original Shepard, because there is another Shepard that just doesn't... The DLC...
So is he like Fifth Element, where they had the hand from her and they recreated her from the hand?
If anyone knows the 100% answer to this, they kind of brief over it, if I remember correctly. So it's implied that he is the original Shepard, just kind of pieced back together. So technically, he's Zombie Shep.
No.
Zombie Shep.
I don't subscribe to Zombie Shep. One game we can leave zombies out. Thank you.
So, like I said, it's just an interesting thing, but they've kind of said that. The reason I bring it up is because around the same time, there was the Star Wars Force Unleashed 2, where the entire arc of the story is are you the original Star Killer, or are you a clone?
Yeah. Right.
And this game kind of goes, yeah, we don't really care. He's Shepard. That's all who cares if he's a clone or not? He's Shepard.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a cool dynamic, and one game has the whole kind of storyline going, is he a clone, is he not? And the other one's just kind of like, who cares? He's the character you're playing as. Go have fun. So that was kind of an interesting dynamic with that.
And I have a question for you, because you like to discuss and theorize stuff.
All right.
So, Tempest versus Normandy. What's your pick?
Tempest versus Normandy. Well, I'm going to, of course, have to go with Normandy. I mean, Normandy's my ship. And plus, I like the name, too.
I don't know. If you've seen the screenshots that's on the website, and that the screenshots of the ship. Yeah, you got to look it up. That's the Tempest.
Well, here's the problem. Tempest isn't going to be piloted by Joker.
Oh my gosh. Moving on.
No, Joker's awesome.
Oh.
Aside from him being voiced by Seth Green, he was an awesome character. I mean, I didn't bring him up in the favorite characters category because
I know.
I was kind of going off of characters that you're involved with in the game, as in like that can play alongside you. I know that Joker
Well, they do have that one.
There's segments where you play as Joker, but I kind of wanted to have that more be for characters that can fight alongside you. Yeah, that's the ship that I get that they're supposed to be going on this huge. It's supposed to be this huge ship. Sorry, she just showed me a picture of the Tempest just to refresh me.
Because it's really cool looking.
But it's supposed to be huge. It's supposed to be like, it's almost like Citadel-esque size. Like it's supposed to be huge.
Yeah.
Whereas Normandy's this little like.
Aww. But if you look at it, it looks like
the Citadel.
It kind of looks like the same shape as the Normandy. Because if you really look at it, you can see similarities.
It looks like a hybrid of the Citadel and the Normandy, if you ask me.
Yeah. Still looks cool, though. Sorry.
It does. Now, I'm going to bring up something real quick that I know might get you heated, so get ready, everyone.
I'm not that bad of a person.
So, I know that we haven't played all the DLC. I'll admit that right now. I've looked up a lot of stuff on it, but my reasoning is this. I'm holding out for something that they might possibly do. So, what's your opinion on them porting this game? Would it be something that would be worth it?
Yes.
Not going to elaborate.
I was just making sure everybody understood I'm not thinking about it. Like, it's yes. It is not even a question.
So if they were to port this game over to the Xbox One, the PlayStation 4, have all the DLC content, have 1 through 3 on it, have just everything you could possibly have. That's
like Christmas, my birthday, and everything all wrapped into one.
Now, my question is this. Would you just run to the store and Fry go, shut up and take my money?
Yes.
I think I would be right there with you as well.
I would totally do that. Just, I don't know, just being able to just relive it all again and be excited and get myself ready for the new one. I think that would I'd love to do that again. And I don't want to have to go back and play all the old ones. I want it refreshed and remastered and.
I think it would be cool to have that again. Once again, a discussion we could have at a later point in time is, do remakes matter?
Right. Because there's been a lot of them lately. So.
Yes, there's been a lot of ports, remasters, remakes. So that's a discussion for another day. But in my opinion, Mass Effect, if you could put the entire trilogy on a disc, I'd play it. I'd buy it again.
Yeah.
Seriously, like, if you just announce it, I'll be like, here's the money for it.
I mean, and it's cool if you don't think so.
It is.
You know, I think there would be enough people that would be interested for it to be worth doing it. Do I think it's for everybody? No. You know, a lot of people that I know, they play a game and they're done. They have no interest in, you know, replaying it or anything. But I think I would love it. So.
I know that we have a lot more that we've left on the table that we could possibly discuss.
Right.
But there is one final thing I want to discuss for at least today. And that's the ending of Mass Effect 3. Now, I know we're tiptoeing into
I'm probably going to make some people mad.
Some very troubled waters. But once again, if you want to post nicely, post your opinion.
Yeah, because
we're not saying anyone's right. We're not saying anyone's wrong.
This is a discussion.
Yes.
So, and I'll say for a fact that nobody's right, nobody's wrong. It's all it's what you're happy and what you get out of it. For me personally, the ending, you know, and I'm sorry if you don't agree with me. That's cool. It is what it is. But let's get over it. Like,
okay, you're going that direction.
Yes.
With it.
So here's my point. And I know people have said it before, and I actually even think BioWare said this. I'm not for sure. It doesn't really matter, but it's all about the journey. So
you're taking words out of my statement I'm about to make, so mine's going to sound moot now. But go ahead.
So here's the point. Did I love going through the first one and making decisions? Did I use my save file for the second game,
yes,
hoping that it would affect how certain things are done in the second game based off of my save file? Yes. Did I use my save file from the second one and go to the third one? because I was hoping, depending on what I did in the previous 2 games, it would matter in the third one. Yes, I did.
And it did. It still did.
Yeah, it did. Was it like substantial? I mean, it had little things here and there that if you were a big enough fan and you truly love the series, you would notice it. But just the whole, I'm not going to let the ending of the game that I may not have been 100% happy with ruin all of the times and the hours that I spent playing the whole series.
I feel the Mass Effect series for me is more of a journey than a destination.
Yeah.
My enjoyment of that game came from the journey. It didn't. I'm not saying I'm not gonna give any one way or the other on my opinion of the ending, but I'm just gonna say that I enjoyed the journey, not the destination. For the game, like that was not when I wanted to. I didn't want to beat the game, if that makes any sense. I wanted to continue. I wanted to keep
going. Yes.
I wanted to continue in that world. The ending to me was something that was there. It wasn't something I sat there and reminiscing about. And I think from our discussion, it kind of makes that obvious that we're reminiscing about the game. We're reminiscing about the journey more so than the destination of this game.
Yeah. So I mean.
So with that being said, that's our opinion.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what I'm saying. Nobody's right, nobody's wrong in that. It's if you truly were upset about the ending, then that's fine, and you have your opinion, and there's nothing wrong with that. I just think for me personally, I wasn't gonna let that get in the way of everything that I have done over the last 3 games and ruin it.
Exactly.
Yes.
All right. That's going to wrap up our probably first discussion on Mass Effect. I'm sure there'll probably be another one at some point. With that being said, you guys, if you want to comment or give us your opinions or your favorite characters,
we would love to discuss.
We've discussed so much stuff throughout this segment that we would love to hear your feedback. But we're going to be right back after this quick break. This is Zeng This. All right, welcome back.
Hello.
That was, of course, a fun discussion.
Yes, I could keep going and going.
we definitely could. With that being said, we're going to kind of wrap things up with this. So, do you want to start on how they can give us their opinions?
Yes. So, as always, don't forget to check us out on our various media that we're on. Facebook at Zeng This, Twitter at Zeng This, iTunes Zeng This.
You can also find us on Instagram at Zeng This Podcast.
Yep.
We're actually, I'm thinking about doing something to where we're going to post a photo each week of, the different topics that we're going to be discussing. I tried it this week, so if you're on there, you kind of got a hint of what the current topics were and what we were mainly discussing. So you might get a little hint the day before on what the Monday podcast will be about.
And do you want to tell our listeners that a little bit about Stitcher?
Yes, we are on Stitcher now, as well as SoundCloud. I'm working on Google Play.
Okay.
So that will hopefully be enacted soon. But, there's plenty of different ways to find us. You also got YouTube and everything like that. So it's all of it's Zeng This, so it's very easy to find. Drop us a tweet, join us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube. We want to get to 100 subscribers on YouTube, so I can just tell people it's youtube.com/Zeng instead of it's youtube.com/520, so on and so forth, numbers, letters.
Right.
So if we can get to 100 subscribers, we're a quarter of the way there. We would love to get some help, just subscribing to that. And just dropping a quick little hint, we might be doing some exclusive, quick reviews and quick content that will be exclusive to the YouTube page. We're, of course, going to always do the podcast on here, but we want to also kind of give something for the YouTube as well, just a little quick thing. So don't have a time frame when that stuff's going to start coming out, but when it does, we'll definitely inform you guys.
And you can always email us at zengthis@gmail.com.
And you can also, if you want to help support us, you can go to Patreon. We are working on exclusive content for that. So there will be exclusive podcasts to Patreon that is Zeng This Secret Origins.
Ooh.
Which is kind of a backstory on...
Everybody likes a good origin story.
Which is a backstory on, what drove us to do this. And, some cool behind-the-scenes stuff with, what caused us to do a podcast. That would be a cool way to, get some background information on us. That should be out later on in November. So definitely, if you want to head over to patreon.com/ZengThis, you can check out that and hopefully give us some support. With that being said, I also want to give a quick shout out to our music done by DJ Golden Boy 89. If you guys have seen the new logo we've gotten, that was actually done by my older brother. You can find him on Instagram at Zenger Photo, so definitely check that out. He's possibly working on some more stuff for us. Don't know when that's going to be available, but like I said, I love the new logo, so that's all thanks to him. So if you want to check out some other work he does, you can of course find that at Zenger Photo on Instagram. Once again, thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
This has been Zeng This. Bye. Hello, I'm Commander Shepard, and this is my favorite podcast on the Citadel.